listening to the news and the story between Israel and Poland, and Israel said they need to speak some more about the Holocaust, and I'm thinking actually it's time to speak maybe less about it. It's understandable that Poland would not want the concentration camps to be known as Polish camps. I think anybody could understand that, just as much as anybody can understand why the Jewish people would not want people to forget about the Holocaust, which was a terrible, terrible time, a stain on mankind, an abomination. Why would anybody call it anything else? It's a terrible thing. But if we're going to remember the Holocaust, why can't we remember it for the right reasons, which is what mankind is capable of, and to avoid this at all costs, to never let this happen again? And I think it's got to be a slight double standard there. If Israel's Jewish people as a whole so need to remember this and preserve this memory, and yet at the same time totally ignore the fact that they're practically running a concentration camp in Gaza, where 2 million people are being more or less held in a concentration camp without access to good drinking water and electric, and they're being dominated and their will is being broken. And who will faithfully record that in 75 years? All this happenings of today and the past and the phosphorus bombs and what has been described as ethnic cleansing at the beginning, will that be faithfully, scrupulously observed and preserved in history in 75 years' time by the Israelis? Probably not. It will be brushed under the carpet because that's the way of things. History is being rewritten because it's ignored today. So I'm not a Holocaust denier, and I have nothing against the Jewish people. I actually think they do very well. They do very well around the world, many of them. Banking, Hollywood, strongest lobby in America. Israel receives huge amounts of funding and arms from America. They have the big brother on their side. They do very, very well, should the truth be known. And I don't see anti-Semitism anywhere around me. Not in Europe, anyway. It's spoken of. I hear it's spoken of. Now, George Soros started to interfere in British politics. As soon as somebody criticised him, it was anti-Semitic. But there's hundreds of reasons to not like George Soros in his own society. He's a well-known meddler. He's a billionaire who likes to play. And unfortunately, he's very good at it. And one of the places of interest where he has interfered should probably be the Ukraine, to all people, where there is actually right now a Nazi party. They're in government. There have been marches last October, 20,000 people in the streets commemorating the time when the Ukrainians collaborated with the Germans. And there's a lot of Jewish people in the Ukraine that probably not very happy about that. Perhaps that should be a subject of interest, but that is a different game because we have different lies about the Ukraine, don't we? If the Germans had won, the concentration camps very probably would have continued. You could see in places like Treblinka that already we had Polish and Italians and a variety of other people. If you have a race that considers itself to be a master race that's put in place this system of concentration camps and slave labour, it would very probably have continued, and it would have taken swathes of people from all the nations it had conquered, anybody who didn't agree, because that kind of industry, once started, is very difficult to stop, I imagine. So that's probably worth considering. I just think maybe it's time to look forwards, or to look backwards for the right reasons, not to constantly attack other people. Because the Second World War was a time of blackness. It was an abomination. It was a stain on mankind. But it happened to be a terrible time for many people. Unwilling soldiers, people starving, resistance fighters shot, people put in the most unimaginable situations for many people today. And what happened to the poor Jewish people. Anyway, that's my 10 cents worth. If you got a try, thanks very much.